Two new villainous sets got announced and they look very, very interesting, so let's talk about them. So, one Star Wars villainous set and one Disney villainous set were announced, and no Marvel sets, which I'm okay with, because in my opinion, the Marvel villainous is the worst of the three. But each set is going to have two new characters. The Star Wars Cold Tactics set is going to have Count Dooku and Grand Admiral Thrawn. And the Disney set is going to have Tamatoa from Moana and Davy Jones from Pirates of the Caribbean. So the first thing I want to say is these are great choices for both sets. The characters that they're choosing are great. Some of the characters I wasn't expecting, like Davy Jones, but I'm glad that they did it. That's going to be a cool character. And it's not just the character choices, but from what they look like and how they play, they look very cool. So let's get into them. Alright, so the first character I want to talk about is Grand Admiral Thrawn. He looks very interesting. He's got a brand new mechanic in the game, which he's going to be the first character that's going to allow you to change your board. So how this works is his goal is to capture all four of his locations and with his fleets. And when he captures them, the actual locations on your board are not built into the board. They're separate pieces. And when you capture them, you flip them over and they have different actions that you gain. And you have, instead of having 2 and 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom, now you're going to have 1 at the top, 3 at the bottom. So that's going to be a lot more helpful, and the locations that you capture are going to be way more beneficial for you. So that is really cool. Probably has the coolest new mechanic from the new villainous sets, I would say, from what we've seen so far at least. Being able to flip locations over, that's something really unique, and that's cool. Alright, the next character I want to talk about is Count Dooku, the other one from the Star Wars Cold Tactics set. So Count Dooku, he looks like he's going to be, at first glance, very tedious. So he's got these cards that you have to get tokens on to complete them. But some of the cards are going to have 20 to 25 tokens on a card. So as you can imagine, your cards are going to be covered with tokens, and that's going to fill up. That's going to get annoying. So it looks like they are having some tokens that are worth 5, so that'll help clear up some room. But even then, it looks like it's going to be pretty tedious. But other than that, I'm not sure. He has to defeat certain heroes to do stuff, which my biggest complaint about Star Wars villainous is that too many of the characters, their goals are just to defeat heroes. So Count Dooku is looking a little bit different with having to get tokens at locations. So that'll be interesting. And it doesn't look like you're just defeating heroes to win, so that's a big plus for Count Dooku. But overall, I think Grand Admiral Thrawn looks more interesting to me than Count Dooku. But still, it looks like he has enough unique stuff to going for him that he's going to be fun. Alright, now let's talk about the Disney villainous. So Tamatoa, the giant crab from Moana, as you might know him better, or the shiny crab. His goal is to get Maui's hook and the Heart of Te Fiti. So his biggest unique thing, he's also adding a unique element, being that he has an extra deck of cards, kind of like Madame Mim would. But instead of being a Merlin transformation deck, he's got a Maui transformation deck, which is not going to function the same as the Merlin deck, because you don't have to defeat them to win. You have to just get Maui's hook and the Heart of Te Fiti on your side. So how it works is each different transformation is going to have different abilities, different strengths. So your Maui could either get stronger or weaker depending on what happens. And yeah, so that'll mix it up. That's Tamatoa's, what looks to be his most interesting mechanic. Other than that, he seems pretty basic. He's just collecting 2 cards, kind of like a lot of other Disney villainous characters like Ursula or a lot of other characters where you're just collecting cards. But having the Maui transformation deck means Maui's obviously going to be a pretty big part of this deck. So I'm assuming Maui's hook's going to summon Maui. And yeah, so Tamatoa I'm excited for, but he's not at the top of my list for the most excited character. Alright, And finally, the last character, Davy Jones from Pirates of the Caribbean. Now, Davy Jones, your goal is to just collect 5 treasures, which on paper sounds very boring. But after seeing it a little more, it looks like it could be pretty interesting. So you're going to have these 5 treasure tokens, they're not cards. And with the different treasures, when they get captured, Davy Jones gets weakened depending on what gets captured. Like if his heart gets captured, then he loses all his power, and the key, then he discards his hand, stuff like that. So I think his is going to be a treasure hunting mechanic like a lot of other Disney characters have, but more interesting, being that you lose stuff and you get weaker depending on what gets captured. So that looks interesting. I think overall I am more excited for Davy Jones than I am Tamatoa, but overall they all look fun. All 4 of the new characters are looking like they're going to be really fun to play. Alright, so overall, the order that I'm most excited for the characters is first Grand Admiral Thrawn. Being able to flip locations, that's really cool. I think that's a very unique mechanic that is going to fit really well into Villainous. So he's the character I'm most excited for. The second character I'm probably most excited for would be Davy Jones. I think he looks pretty cool with all the different treasures and as pirate crew and everything. I think it's going to be cool. And the third character I'm most excited for is Tamatoa. He looks a little more simpler, but with having the Maui deck, it'll make him more interesting, spice it up a little bit. And the character I'm least excited for is Count Dooku. Don't get me wrong, I'm still excited for him. I think he's going to be more interesting than some of the other characters in Disney or in Star Wars Villainous that we have so far. But nothing about him really screams that it's going to be really cool to me. Nothing really seems like, wow, that's really cool mechanic. And the fact that he's got to have all those tokens on cards just makes him seem like he's going to be a little bit annoying to play as. But I guess we'll see when he comes out. So the sets are, I believe, both set to come out in around August. So quite soon. And if these sets are a sign of what Villainous is planning on doing in the future, making a lot more unique characters, then I am all for it. Like, even the last few we've been starting to see, they've been getting more creative with their characters, like King Candy and Shere Khan. Both had interesting mechanics, especially King Candy having a racetrack instead of locations. That was really cool, creative. And then Shere Khan also having the fire tokens to block off single actions. It's really cool. He's one of my favorite characters. And with even the latest Star Wars set, with having Darth Maul having to not just defeat heroes, but you have to weaken heroes and then kind of take them on as your apprentice and then train them back up, make them strong, and then use them to defeat another hero. I think that's really cool. Same with Camp Phasma, upgrading your troopers, trying to make getting strong enough troopers at each location. So from a lot of the ones before that, a lot of the Villainous sets for that, I think Villainous was starting to get a little bit, the characters are getting a little bit generic, not as interesting. But I think now they're making 2 characters per box. I think they're having more time to work on the characters, and I think the quality of the characters is going up, which I'm really liking. But yeah, those are my thoughts. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Are you excited for the new sets? Which one are you most excited for? And yeah, until next time, I'll see you later.